Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Immigration Carolinas Now. My name is Yael Flores. I'm the Carolina State Director for the American Business Immigration Coalition, a coalition of 1,200 CEOs and business leaders across 16 different states, supporting common sense, bipartisan immigration solutions because it's morally right and economically important. We are here because common sense immigration solutions that offer a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, TPS recipients, farm workers, and essential workers are urgent, bipartisan, and belong in the budget reconciliation. ABEC prefers bipartisanship and worked very hard for a bipartisan Senate deal. But this did not come together. If the budget reconciliation legislation is moving forward, then we urge Congress to include immigration solutions in a reconciliation bill in September. This is an economical, crucial, morally right, and for me, it's personal. My story, my family's story, make it clear that immigrants are here to work. I was born in Mexico and was brought to the U.S. when I was very young. I'm a DACA recipient who grew up in Congressional, North Carolina. My parents graduated from college in Mexico and came to North Carolina to provide a better future for their children. They worked in restaurants as dishwashers. My father worked as a forklift operator, and my mother worked as a nursing home CNA, and now building her own business. I had family who worked in the Yadkin County poultry industry and family friends who picked tobacco. Because of their sacrifices, I pushed to excel in multiple sports and in school. I played football for years and later became quarterback of my high school team. Although the out-of-state tuition was difficult for me to afford in North Carolina, I built a few businesses and worked a couple full-time jobs to self-fund my college education. I have a 9-year-old son, and providing him a brighter future outweighed those obstacles. Common sense bipartisan immigration solutions can help unleash our full economic potential and contribute to our great country. And we urge Congress to include this in their budget reconciliation. Now, it's my great honor to introduce Martin Eakes, CEO of Self-Help Center for Responsible Lending and ABEC member co-chair of the Carolinas and nationally.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Martin Eakes. I am a member of the national board of ABEC, the American Business Immigration Coalition, and am a co-chair of the ABEC chapter for the Carolinas. The American Business Immigration Coalition is an association of business leaders calling for common sense immigration reform, a position that is supported by 70% of American voters. The organization that I run is called Self-Help Credit Union. That organization is a nonprofit community development financial institution, or CDFI. We started with a $77 bake sale in North Carolina in the early 1980s and have grown to approximately $5 billion in assets with a staff of 850, serving 200,000 credit union members across 75 branches in 8 states. Self-Help has provided over $10 billion of financing for homeownership, affordable rental housing, small businesses, and community health and education facilities. As a lender, I get the great privilege of being able to see the diversity of America through its nonprofits and small businesses. We've made loans to dreamers for application fees, for home loans, and more recently to finance students to attend medical school. During this COVID health crisis, it's just unimaginable to me that we would prohibit or discourage dreamers from becoming doctors and nurses and helping and serving their communities. ABEC is a thoroughly bipartisan group of business leaders who are insisting on common sense immigration solutions. We prefer, as Yael mentioned earlier, to have congressional bills that have bipartisan support. ABEC itself has met directly with 41 of our 50 Republican senators in the U.S. Senate. And we've concluded that immigration solutions for dreamers, for TPS holders, and farm workers should be included in the budget reconciliation process this fall. Immigration provisions belong in the reconciliation because these groups, dreamers, TPS holders, and farm workers, dramatically impact the federal spending and revenues, which is the test for whether an item can be included in a reconciliation process. The solutions for these groups will add $121 billion of economic activity and more than $31 billion of federal, state, and local tax revenues each and every single year. One of my favorite quotes is from Frederick Douglass. It says, "It is better to build strong children than to repair broken men." Congress must act now to build strong families, strong children, and we simply cannot afford to leave our businesses, our communities, and families in a broken state of disrepair. It's time to act right now, and the reconciliation process is our best chance to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Grace Bailey, President and CEO of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce of Charlotte, also co-chair of ABIC of the Carolinas. Grace?
Thank you, Yahel. Hi, everyone. Grace Bailey with the Latin American Chamber of Commerce of Charlotte. I serve as President CEO currently. And we've seen that a lot of businesses here in Charlotte and nationwide have suffered through the pandemic, have suffered a lot of hardships, in particular, looking for employees. There are no shortage of jobs, but there is a labor shortage. I'm going to echo what Mr. Martin said and say that if paths to legalization and citizenship for dreamers, farm workers, TPS, permit holders, and essential workers were created, it would boost our economic activity by $121 billion a year. Furthermore, federal, state, and local tax revenues would increase by $31 billion each year. You see, undocumented immigrants are already contributing to our economy. Providing permanence and getting them on a path to citizenship would unleash their economic potential and ease our nation's acute labor shortage. There is bipartisan support already, and 7 out of 10 voters support these immigration solutions. Immigration reform belongs in the budget reconciliation, and the parliamentarian must rule accordingly based on economic impact, boost to the federal treasury, and precedent. The rules state reconciliation can be used for measures that impact federal spending, revenues, and the federal debt limit. Immigration fits right in. And this is no longer a moral issue. This is an economic one. And in a state like North Carolina, where Latino population has grown 52% in the last decade, this is an issue that we can no longer ignore. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. And now it's my pleasure also to introduce Miriam Espinat, Director of Community Engagement of Rio Dal Hospitality LLC in Charlotte.
Hi, everyone. As Jael mentioned, I am the co-founder of Rio Dal Hospitality, which is a restaurant group. We currently have 22 restaurants that we have grown since 2010. We employ over 250 employees. And in 2020, we paid over $1 million in taxes. That includes state, local, and federal taxes. The workforce crisis has impacted us in a great way. A lot of our employees are parents and they are struggling with childcare. And also remember that restaurant employees are essential workers, so they do face the constant fear and the constant threat to being infected by COVID. My role with the company is that I am the Director of Community Engagement. Part of what I do is that I sit on different boards, including Leading on Opportunity, Charlotte Bilingual Preschool, and Social Serve, to think of different ways on how we could help empower our community through upward economic mobility. My educational background is in social work. I have a master's in social work, and I am a fully licensed clinician. My immigrant story is what drives my passion to advocate for DACA recipients, for TPS, and other community members who may have limited or no status. My parents immigrated to the US in the 80s. They immigrated as undocumented immigrants. I was left behind in El Salvador with my siblings and my grandparents during a time of war. It took my parents 6 years to be able to get their documents and to bring us to the US. So my mom was sponsored by her employer, which at that time, it was easier. It was a feasible way to become documented. And because of the sacrifice they did is what has created the opportunities for me. Now, as an adult, I am processing and I am seeing how those 7 years of separation greatly impacted my life. That's why it's important to think about keeping families together. As an employer, I work with reentry programs, which, we work with employees that may have difficulties to employment, which could be that they have limited status, limited English, or just backgrounds that impact their ability to be hired. So I'm able to observe, because of my mental health background, how having limited status, whether it's DACA, TPS, or other statuses, impacts the ability for my employees to provide for their families, because they're in this constant fight or flight mode. There's this constant worry that they could be deported or separated from their family. So it creates unreasonable fears, and it creates, difficulty for them to thrive because they're constantly facing uncertainty. Research shows that many families live with undiagnosed mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress. From my experience as a therapist working with children and adolescents, and also a lot of psychologists, scholars have reported, children are greatly impacted by what is going on in their home and what is going on in their social environment. As a result, we end up with unhealthy communities, because if children are constantly worrying that they're going to be separated from their parents, it doesn't allow them to concentrate in school, and then it doesn't allow them to thrive as adults. As Grace mentioned, the census showed that Latinos are one of the growing fastest communities in North Carolina. We have grown by 52%. So this shows that Latino families have the opportunity to grow in this state. We have the opportunity to impact this generation and the generations to come. The opportunities that have been created for me have been because of the sacrifice and the pathway that my parents found. Policies right now do not allow for DACA recipients, TPS, and other recipients to have a pathway to citizenship. I think it is time to recognize that, DACA recipients and TPS recipients are great citizens. They are contributing to the local economy. They are paying taxes. They are innovators. They are entrepreneurs and people who are thriving in our community. And many times, either policymakers or program directors or us doing advocacy, we have a very soft heart for children, but we forget that in order for children to thrive, they have to be in stable homes with their parents physically and emotionally present. As an employer, as a Latina entrepreneur, understanding the impacts of mental health, understanding the need to advocate for our community, I witnessed how significantly Latinos are impacted daily because of the barriers that they face. And I also noticed how much we impact the local community and we impact the economy. We are here to thrive. We are here to have a positive impact. We have built strong roots for this generation and generations to come. And we just want to celebrate the beautiful culture that we bring and how we are just becoming part of this great melting pot in North Carolina. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Miriam. And I apologize. The North Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce had a family emergency and won't be able to attend today. But I do want to introduce Isabella Lujan. She is the co-founder of the Latin American Business Council in Wilmington. Also, I would like to make a note that if you would like to submit questions right now, you can put it in the chat in the Q&A section. Also, if you would like to submit questions in Spanish, we have some speakers can answer them as well. Isabella, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dale. So my name is Isabella Lujan. I am from Venezuela, and I am co-chair of the Latin American Business Council with the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce. The United States of America needs immigration reform now. Today, I'm here to remind you that immigrants without legal status pay almost $722 million in taxes only here in North Carolina. And while a lot of you are desperate trying to find people who are willing to work, there are thousands like me waiting for the opportunity. We all need immigration reform in this country. There are a lot of lies right now being said about this process. One of them is that immigration does not qualify for inclusion in the budget reconciliation bill. That's a lie, because the rules state that reconciliation can be used for measures that impact federal spending, revenue, and the federal debt limit. And immigration fits right in. First, if path for legalization and citizenship for dreamers, farm workers, TPS holders like Venezuelans right now, and essential workers were created, federal, state, and local tax revenues would increase by $31 billion each year as part of an overall US economic growth of $121 billion per year. And second, immigration has previously been included in reconciliation. We need to remember this happened in 2005 with a Republican-controlled Senate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Isabella. And now we'll be moving into the Q&A session. It looks like we do have a few questions. Give me a second. And the first one is directed to Martin Eakes. Mr. Martin, if you can turn on your camera, and I will direct the question to you. So the question is, what are your options if the parliamentarian rejects the immigration's provisions for the reconciliation bill?
Well, we believe the parliamentarian will decide in favor of inclusion. There has been ample precedent. As Isabella mentioned, we've got several past actions going all the way back to the 1990s. We had a reconciliation where we permitted Haitians and Central Americans and Eastern Europeans were included in a reconciliation bill. And in 2019, we legalized eligible Liberians, passed the House and controlled by Democrats and the Senate controlled by Republicans. So we believe that this is very likely to be approved and is really the best and only path forward right now. So I think we will continue to think positively. We do believe that immigration, particularly for dreamers, for TPS holders, and for farm workers, will have a dramatic impact on federal spending and revenues, and that is the test for inclusion in the reconciliation process. So we're not going to look for what happens if it doesn't. We believe it will happen, and that we need support from congressional members to push it forward.
Thank you, Martin, for that answer. And it looks like we have another question here. And this is directed to Grace Bailey. Grace, if you can turn on your camera. Thank you. What will ABIC be doing between now and mid-September as a part of your campaign?
Yes, so this is a great question. We're going to be continuing to beat a steady drumbeat. We're not going to let go of this. We're going to continue to hold events across the nation, engaging with civic leaders and business leaders and just directly impacted people, telling their story and telling their story about how their lives and livelihoods are affected and how these affected by the decisions that these political leaders are making. So our recovery does depend on these dreamers and TPS workers and farm workers and essential workers. As you know, the Latino GDP right now is at $2.6 trillion across the nation. So we are great contributors to this economy, and we are not going to let go until our voices are heard and until we make our message loud and clear.
Thank you, Grace. And I am having a little issue here trying to open the Q&A box again. There is one directed to Isabella. Isabella, if you can turn on your mic. There you go. I have it here. Let me send this to you. For some reason, there you go. Sorry, guys, having technical issues. Could you see the question?
Yes, I can see the question. Do you want me to answer in Spanish or in English? Because the question
In
is
Spanish, sorry.
Do you want me to answer in Spanish?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so la pregunta es, ¿consideren que es necesario un cambio de estrategia para impulsar una reforma migratoria cuando ya no es eficaz realizar marchas o mítines? Esta es una pregunta muy importante, muy interesante, es más desde un punto de vista de activismo, y pienso que la manera que nosotros estamos tratando de promover en estos momentos es de educar a la población en general para que la opinión pública esté informada de la realidad del impacto económico que traería una reforma migratoria para los Estados Unidos como nación. Pensamos que la mayor parte de nosotros pensamos que hay mucha desinformación en estos momentos, y el trabajo que estamos haciendo en estos momentos, el activismo, el trabajo de campaña que estamos haciendo, se está enfocando es en esto, en educar, en informar, en hacer lobby con políticos de ambos bandos, de ambos partidos políticos, de los tanto demócratas como republicanos. Si esto no funciona, pues nosotros tendremos que reagruparnos y considerar nuevas estrategias. Pero en estos momentos lo que consideramos que es importante es en lo que nos encontramos actualmente, porque pensamos que hay muchas posibilidades de que logremos una reforma migratoria en estos momentos. Como se ha mencionado anteriormente en inglés, espero que los que están escuchando esta rueda de prensa en español hayan entendido esta parte. Las posibilidades de que logremos una reforma migratoria en estos momentos es bastante alta. Y por eso la coalición tan grande de dueños de negocios, de personas que trabajan, que están relacionadas con política, líderes de la sociedad civil, de todos los grupos que hay en los Estados Unidos, están en estos momentos apoyando este proceso. Espero que esto haya respondido a esta pregunta.
Gracias, Isabela. Y tenemos una pregunta final. ¿Considerarían que es visible impulsar la reforma migratoria cuando la administración Biden tiene ahora una fuerte política por el plan de infraestructura y la salud de Afganistán? Yo puedo responder esa pregunta. Nosotros estamos apoyando mucho la reforma migratoria porque nosotros sabemos que tenemos el apoyo de empleados y la comunidad alrededor de Estados Unidos. Inmigración es la solución y vamos a trabajar para eso, que se apoye en 7 en 10 votantes, incluyendo la mayoría de los republicanos apoyan esta reforma. Y espero que esa respuesta sea buena para esa. Y creo que eso es todo. Si tienen más preguntas, por favor, sigan preguntando. If you have more questions, please follow up. And I think that is it for the questions. Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.